This is Nightly Business Report with Tyler Matheson and Sue Herrera.
Click till you drop. More shoppers go online rather than stand online in the hunt for Black Friday bargains. The road ahead, why this weekend could pave the way for record-breaking November auto sales. Sizing up the consumer, stocks that may benefit from this holiday season. Our market monitor names some names. All that and more tonight on Nightly Business Report for Friday, November 27th. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Tyler Matheson. Sue Herrera has the evening off. A mixed close on this holiday shortened trading day, but we begin tonight with retail. Bargain hunters were out in force, especially online, looking for deals as the biggest holiday shopping season of the year gets underway. Early reports from software firm Adobe show that shoppers spent more than $1 billion online between midnight and 5 a.m. That is up about 20% from just last year. Target reported a strong start to its Black Friday weekend. The retailer said its stores saw a solid turnout yesterday and that Thanksgiving internet sales were the biggest ever. Other retail CEOs also like what they're seeing.
We're very pleased with what we're seeing on the internet, with people shopping on Thanksgiving and this morning, and we're very pleased with the traffic in our stores as well.
Last night, was clearly the kickoff to Thanksgiving shopping, and we saw it not with just the lines, but with the purchasing. So we were very encouraged that people finally not only came out, but came out and bought.
It's been very promotional early in the cycle here. So we've certainly offered a tremendous amount of value. We had a lot of kickoff sales last night as part of our Thanksgiving opening. We've got a lot of reasons for people either to come into our stores or visit our website.
As for the performance of some retail stocks, it was mixed. Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon ended lower while eBay and Target rose. And at the nation's malls, foot traffic picked up throughout the day following thin crowds overnight. Courtney Reagan is at the Woodfield Mall outside Chicago in Schaumburg, Illinois. Courtney, how do the crowds compare with other years?
You know, Tyler, I think that the pattern that we've seen is fairly similar to what we've seen in years past. When the doorbusters begin at the big box retailers like Walmart or Target, that's when you see the initial big crowds. Once the shoppers get what they came for, they go back home. Overnight, it does thin out and you see a bit of a lull, but mid-morning to late afternoon, you see the crowds surge again. And that's certainly what happened here at the Woodfield Mall, with the peak of the crowds coming right around lunchtime once everyone had a chance to go home and recharge. In some cases, though, folks just stayed out all night long. JLL is a retail asset property manager, and they say that 90% of their retailers are reporting traffic levels this year are about the same, if not stronger than last year. Though some analysts do disagree with that. They're not quite sure that they think that this crowds are as strong because of some of the online deals that a number of the brick and mortar retailers offered much earlier than the deals in stores.
This is often a big weekend for electronics, so what are consumers buying and what are they spending?
That's exactly right. And electronics, again, are a hot item, especially at the big box retailers. Walmart's chief merchandising officer, Steve Bratsby, says the Roku TV was among its best sellers, but really all of the 40-inch TV brands sold very well. Target's CEO called out the Fitbit, the iPad, as well as the Apple Watch. And Target is one of the few retailers that does sell the Apple Watch. Here at the mall, take a listen to what some of the folks were buying.
We were shopping for clothes, good deals, and sweaters, jeans, socks, jewelry, purses. I got teenage girls at home.
A little bit of everything, little shoes, got some socks, got a hat, got to cover up the dome a little bit. Other than that, trying to see what we got, maybe some jeans, some shirts, pretty much everything.
And Adobe says that Lego products, as well as some Barbie products, so some of those classic toys, are also among the best sellers, interspersed in there with all those electronics.
All right, Court, thanks very much. Have a good weekend. Courtney Reagan in Schaumburg, Illinois. Well, it could be a blockbuster season for the toy business, and all because of one franchise in particular. Jane Wells looks at the force to be reckoned with in the toy aisle.
The force is strong this toy season.
There's Star Wars, and then there's everything else.
This could be the best year for toy sales in a decade. NPD Group says total sales could near $20 billion, thanks in part to lower gas prices and lower unemployment. And one powerful franchise which started a long time ago in a toy store far, far away.
Sales
Sales of Disney's Star Wars related merchandise are expected to be much more forceful than Disney's Frozen franchise was, in part because it appeals to both boys and girls over 3 generations.
Give it everything you got.
Star Wars the movie could possibly do $2 billion in box office. But some analysts say Star Wars the merchandise machine could do twice that, with Hasbro the clear winner, paying Disney a licensing fee, which some estimate at being 20%.
Recently at an analyst meeting hosted by Hasbro, they mentioned that from their perspective, they're actually short a little bit of product, that the sell-through is that good.
The little 6-inch figures are very popular. Lightsabers, this year they came out with you build your own lightsaber. That is very popular.
Toys R Us opened at 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving, and this store in San Mateo, California had a strong Thursday night, followed by very light traffic the morning of Black Friday.
It's quiet. Yeah.
You like that?
Yes, it's nice.
Of course, Star Wars toys are not the only gifts expected to sell well this year, but its dominance will be impressive, most impressive. For Nightly Business Report, Jane Wells, San Mateo.
Our next guest says it's not going to be a particularly jolly holiday sales season. He's Britt Beamer, Chairman and CEO of America's Research Group. Britt, good to see you as always.
Thank you, Tom.
So you say it's going to be a tough selling season. What tells you that specifically, and what do you think lies behind that?
Well, first of all, you have no new products out there with the exception of Star Wars coming out. And as you know, the movie doesn't hit the screens until like the 15th or 18th of December. So there'll be this huge explosion in the end. But the other problem is there's nothing on the adult side that's exciting. You have over 55% of consumers saying there's nothing new this year, and half those people said they're going to buy less because of it. So I mean that means a quarter of Americans are going to spend less because there's nothing new. That's pretty hard to overcome. Also, Tyler, keep in mind, every TV set, every computer that Walmart and Best Buy has been selling yesterday and today is $1,500 less than it was a year ago. So you'd have to have 18% more items just to make up for the lower transaction rate. So that's the other challenge out there, is because electronics drive so many early morning shoppers, both on Thursday and Friday. Our number said there was a 15 to 18% increase last night.
So you got to have that. You've got to have more. You got to sell more units to get the same amount of revenue in the door.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about how you are analyzing which sort of segments of the spending and shopping universe are going to do well. I assume it's going to be another year where online begins to eat away again at enclosed mall traffic.
Well, there's no question, and this is the issue that. Nobody besides Walmart, in my mind, Walmart went out this year very aggressively and said, we want to put a shot into Amazon. So when they came out and said all the early bird specials on Thursday evening are going to be online Thursday, I mean, that's a huge, huge issue. Now, when our interviewers were talking to consumers last night and today, there were all people that went online with Walmart who ultimately got it, but they said it took sometimes 30 or 40 minutes before the transaction would clear. So that was a bit aggravating, but I think there's no question that the mall traffic retailers are struggling the most. In the month of October, only 19% of consumers walked into an enclosed mall. A year ago, it was 23%. So those retailers are going to have a more difficult time. And the freestanding stores, like the Walmarts, like the Targets, and Best Buys are going to get more shoppers early. The question is, will they find what they want there, or will they have to go somewhere else? That's the $64 billion question.
All right, Britt, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Britt Beamer with America's Research Group. Well, in Chicago, a group of protesters marched through the city's most famous shopping district. Their goal, disrupt Black Friday shopping on Michigan Avenue to bring attention to last year's killing of a 17-year-old by a police officer. Some demonstrators tried to block store entrances. North Michigan Avenue, one of the largest and most lucrative shopping streets in the Midwest. On Wall Street, volume was light on this holiday shortened trading day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 14 points to close at 17,798. It was weighed down by Disney. More on that in just a minute. The Nasdaq 11 points higher, and the S&P 500 rose by a single point. For the week, the three major indexes were basically flat, with the Dow off about 0.1%. Gold prices slipped almost 2% today to near a six-year low, pressured by a strong dollar and a potential increase in interest rates. And in China, the Shanghai Composite fell 5.5%. That's its worst day since August, as a government crackdown on the country's largest brokerage firms expanded. It's basically an insider trading investigation. Investor attention also overseas, where Russia says it will impose economic sanctions on Turkey and cancel major investment projects in that country. This in retaliation for the downing of a Russian fighter jet earlier this week. Jeff Cutmore in Moscow with more on the rising tensions between these two nations.
After the downing of the Russian bomber by the Turkish Air Force, both sides said they didn't wish to escalate the situation. But the language we've heard over the last day or so only seems to have done that. President Putin suggesting claims that the Turks didn't know it was a Russian aircraft were lame. He also went on to say that he believed that Turkey was taking oil from the ISIS terrorist group. Well, for his part, the Turkish president, Mr. Erdogan, came out and said Mr. Putin shouldn't play with fire. He also said it was Russia's ally, Syria, that was taking ISIS oil. So the rift continues over these two powers, and we understand that the Russians are looking at what economic sanctions they may take in retaliation. Meanwhile, the French president, Monsieur Hollande, has been here. He sat down with President Putin for a 3-hour meeting, and it does appear that some progress was made on getting Russia to work with the US-led alliance against ISIS. Jeff Cutmore, Nightly Business Report from Moscow.
Still ahead, 'tis the season to buy some stocks, and our Market Monitor has a list you may want to consider. A new lawsuit is raising questions about Sumner Redstone's fitness to run two media companies. One of his former girlfriends alleges that he is mentally impaired and unable to make decisions for himself. The 92-year-old executive is the executive chairman and controlling shareholder of both Viacom and CBS. Redstone's attorney calls the lawsuit baseless. Well, Volkswagen's Audi brand has suspended 2 engineers amid the emissions scandal. The automaker's CEO said in an interview published yesterday that the company is investigating whether some employees deliberately manipulated emission control devices. The executive did not give further details. Meanwhile, Toyota outsold Volkswagen for the 4th straight month in October, and that keeps the Japanese automaker in the top spot for global sales this year. Toyota's vehicle sales totaled more than 8.3 million from January through October. Volkswagen delivered 8.2 million. Volkswagen's sales have suffered following that diesel emission scandal we just mentioned. Well, automakers are hoping, of course, for a spike in sales. Black Friday quickly becoming as important to the auto industry as it is for general retailing. In fact, this weekend is expected to push the industry's sales rate to its highest point this year. Phil LeBeau has more on the models most in demand from Lisle, Illinois.
The commercials have been everywhere this month.
Look at what he put in our driveway.
Santa can do that?
Black Friday has become one of the most popular days of the year to buy a new car or truck.
We were willing to wait and see what kind of prices and what kind of deals would be out there on Black Friday.
It's a 3-day weekend. It's the end of the month. So they want to sell cars near the end of the month, so it's a good time to buy cars.
In fact, a number of analysts believe the November sales rate will top 18 million vehicles, which would be the first time the U.S. has seen sales that strong for 3 straight months. This year, trucks and SUVs are expected to be in heavy demand in showrooms because gas is selling for just $2.05 a gallon nationwide. But there's another factor driving sales this weekend. Automakers are doing a better job of packaging deals to attract buyers.
there's a lot of set pricing, 20% off MSRP, Ford's Friends and Neighbors program where there's a no haggle price set, because people don't have a lot of time. It's the holidays, and I think if you kind of package your deal in an easy to understand, quick manner, it probably is going to resonate a lot more with consumers, which we've seen.
For dealers, Black Friday means offering a little more off the sticker price, on average about $3,100. But they're making that up by selling more models at higher prices. Still, with nearly every automaker running holiday specials, the competition has become fierce.
Well, I see the volume. All the manufacturers are producing a lot of cars and dealers are selling them, but it's such a competitive, marketplace to sell. The environment itself is the margins are much thinner than they used to be.
Black Friday in showrooms, and the green can be seen all around. Phil LeBeau, Nightly Business Report, Lisle, Illinois.
Disney has lost millions of ESPN subscribers, and that is where we begin tonight's Market Focus. The company's sports network has lost 3 million subscribers in a year, bringing the number of customers the cable channel has back to what it was 10 years ago. The news ignites concerns about decreasing demand for traditional cable television packages. Shares of the Dow component tumbled almost 3%. And shares of Calabios Pharmaceuticals surged today after the company's chief executive said he would not lend any more stock to those looking to short sell it. The comments come after a report that a large percentage of the firm's stock is short, meaning that investors are betting that its shares will go down. The stock was up nearly 30% today. Worth noting that Calabios is a small cap stock. Well, an update now on that E. coli outbreak at Costco. Federal officials say they've traced the bacteria back to a vegetable mix of celery and onions that was in the company's rotisserie chicken salad. 19 people in 7 states have been sickened as a result of the outbreak. The stock up a fraction today. NextEra Energy announcing it will sell 2 of its Texas natural gas power plants for more than $1.5 billion. Transaction expected to close in the first quarter of 2016. Shares up slightly today. Well, our market monitor likes mid-cap stocks and has some names he says are bargains that investors should add to their holiday shopping list. He's Brian Peary, co-portfolio manager of the Hennessy Cornerstone Mid-Cap 30, which is a concentrated fund of 30 stocks that invests across different sectors. Last time Brian was on in May, he recommended JetBlue. It is up 27%. JCPenney, it is off about 5%. And Pilgrim's Pride, the food company, is 18% lower. Brian, welcome back. I know we're going to get to JCPenney and JetBlue in just a minute because they remain your picks. What should I do with that other one, Pilgrim's Pride?
We've sold all of our position in Pilgrim's Pride. It was just, it was a bad environment, and it's not a bad stock. It's actually pretty cheap, but it just doesn't fit into our growth criteria. So that was one that we have since sold.
Let's move on to the picks that you like right now. GameStop is your first choice. Why do you like it?
You know, it's interesting. I think that they've really got they've come down since their quarterly earnings, and they're still a decent value at this point. I think the fourth quarter is actually going to be pretty good. Even though the consoles have been out there for a couple of years, like the Xbox One and the PS4, I think that the consumer today is really looking for a way to do some value shopping, and you see it in the Black Friday deals. And GameSpot's is the only place where you can really go and get these used games that are still perfectly good games, but you're going to get them at a good discount, and you can pick up a couple of games for the price of a new one. And their margins are much better on the used games. Their digital downloads are doing really well. So I think that going forward, I really like this company. I think it's a great price down here.
All right, let's move on to a stock that a lot of people are liking these days, and that is, for the first time in a long time, JCPenney. You still like it. You had it on your buy list earlier. It's down a little since then, but why are you hanging with it?
I do. I like JCPenney. I think that it is a long-term story. Nothing's going to change in the coming weeks, I think. But they've really positioned themselves well, and it does take some time to get back the consumers that they've lost over the last few years. You know, when they really did a kind of a broad change of what they were going to offer to the consumer, and they're getting back to their fundamentals, and they're really providing a value proposition for today's shoppers. People, I think, during the Christmas season are going to go in and buy jewelry and going to buy perfume and stuff, and I think that they're going to wind up doing really well in that area, and that's going to boost their sales for the quarter.
What is JetBlue doing so well that you like it again?
Everything. Their management team is fantastic. They're keeping costs down. They've really started to expand upstream in terms of adding to their mint service. I think they're doing everything exceptionally well with oil down here in the low 40s, and I think it's going to stay low for a while. I think this is a great long-term situation as they kind of move upstream and capture more market share from higher revenue customers.
Brian, thanks very much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Tyler. You too.
All right, Brian Peary is with the Hennessy Funds. And coming up, why small businesses are betting on a $14 billion Saturday. Here's what to watch next week. Europe's central bank meets Thursday, and policymakers could decide to introduce more stimulus to the region. We'll also hear from Fed Chair Janet Yellen. She's set to testify in front of the Joint Economic Committee in Washington. And Friday is Jobs Day. The government's November employment report is out. It is a critical one right ahead of that next Fed meeting. That's what to watch next week. Well, the International Air Transport Association is forecasting slow growth in air travel. The firm says a weaker global economy and a slowdown in China will decrease the number of people who fly over the next 2 decades, and that could depress airline orders for manufacturers such as Boeing and Airbus. Well, the small businesses, are getting fewer loans from big banks. According to a Wall Street Journal analysis of the bank's regulatory filings, there's been a 38% decline in these loans over the past decade. Alternative lenders are picking up the slack and charging significantly higher rates. Well, small business owners are gearing up now for big sales tomorrow on what's become known as Small Business Saturday. The day has helped independent businesses in the past, and as Kate Rogers reports, they're hoping the trend continues.
It's not Black Friday or Cyber Monday that Shrewsbury, New Jersey-based retailer Categories was gearing up for this week. It's Small Business Saturday, sandwiched right in between the 2 major shopping days. Shop owner Eileen Buriani is hoping for big results for her small business.
It's just a reminder for people now with the internet and everything else that they have that they can shop at. It's helpful to keep reminding them that the businesses that have been here for so long are still here.
The store does about 25% of its annual sales during the holiday season and also enlists local vendors to make their wares.
I've got 90-year-old women knitting sweaters for us. I've got women who are in their 80s hand painting for us. We try to keep that local feel and that one-of-a-kind uniqueness there for people. We try to set ourselves apart, and shopping local is where you find that.
Now in its 6th year, Small Business Saturday is designed to encourage shoppers to buy from local retailers. This year, 3 in 4 consumers tell sponsor American Express they plan to support local retailers during the holiday season. What's more, some 80% of shoppers say they're willing to pay slightly more for an item if it's purchased from a small, independently owned retailer versus an online or big box store. Last year, consumers spent $14.3 billion on Small Business Saturday, according to American Express. So small businesses like this one have high hopes for this year. But Small Business Saturday isn't just limited to traditional retailers. New York City-based Swerve Fitness is also getting in on the action.
The holiday time is definitely a time where people are looking to get a workout in. There's a lot of eating and celebration that goes on, and there's a lot of pre-tox and detox rides and working out that our riders do. So we definitely see the studio busy this time of year. Our goal for participating in Small Business Saturday is really to engage with our community and to raise awareness about how important it is to support local small businesses.
Whether it's selling kids' toys or exercise classes, small businesses are united in their message, reminding consumers to shop small this holiday season. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Kate Rogers.
And to read more about Small Business Saturday, head to our website, nbr.com. And finally tonight, this Thanksgiving weekend officially kicks off the holiday movie season, one of the busiest times of the year at theaters. So what can we expect at the box office between now and the end of the year? Julia Borston takes a look at Hollywood's holiday offerings.
You might need this.
Everyone's already talking about Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which broke records, selling more than $50 million in tickets a month before it opens. This weekend, another Disney film is on track to dominate the box office. Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, which is off to a solid start for the long weekend. Selling $1.3 million in Tuesday night tickets, that's just above Frozen's Tuesday night start before it had the highest grossing Thanksgiving weekend of all time.
I think there are more children's movies to see, which is always exciting for me because I have 2 small kids.
And now Warner Brothers' Rocky spinoff Creed and Fox's Victor Frankenstein are under pressure to deliver at the box office and stick out from competition, both big screen and small.
It's been an incredibly crowded marketplace in movie theaters since really the end of summer, and that continues today. Also, the small screen presents a ton of choices, and audiences are pulled in a lot of different directions.
On the heels of the latest Hunger Games film, Mockingjay Part 2, drawing the lowest opening of the franchise, there are questions about whether audiences are willing to go to theaters as much as they used to.
I'd rather stay home and watch the classics.
I think it's just cold and you want to stay inside, and then it's just like, you know, you get to bond a little bit. Yeah, I think that's what's nice about staying in.
And there are big concerns Star Wars might crush the competition.
Star Wars presents such a formidable challenge for every other movie out there in the marketplace. Is it going to bring more people to the multiplex for all the movies, or is it just going to bring more people to the multiplex for itself? And that is the billion-dollar question.
On the upside, a massive audience for Star Wars could expose more moviegoers to trailers, which means a rising tide could end up lifting all boats. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Julia Borston in Los Angeles.
That's Nightly Business Report for tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tyler Mathisen. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you right back here on Monday.